So I'm going to give you this choice. Would you rather have the promotion and pay rise that you've influenced or deserved?
Hello, I'm Chris Lisserman and welcome to Sparks, a series by Interactive Workshops. In each episode, we talk about how to spark something in work and life, from how to spark skills, to how to spark passions, to how to spark a little bit of encouragement, Jonna. Send a little message to a colleague.
Just text them.
Spark
some encouragement. Why not?
Tell them you love working with them.
I love working with you, Chris. I'm just going to text you.
As well. Yeah, just send me a little message if you can after the show. Don't do it during the show. That will ruin the audio. Jonna, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Chris. It's really an absolute pleasure to be here. How are you?
I'm well, very well, thank you.
You're looking $1 million.
Well, thank you very much. I know you're not 100% well at the moment, but you have just had some physio.
I'm a middle-aged man. It's almost like it's just like eating food. You've got to get physios and people to keep fixing you. But had a great time at the physio, thank you, and I'm feeling great now.
Good. I'm glad you're ready, upright.
I'm as good as I've ever been.
You're good to go. In this episode, we're going to talk about how to spark progression.
Whoa.
Okay? Maybe how to spark a promotion.
Chris, I wanted to tell you actually. I'd like to ask you whether you consider taking on the role of lead broadcaster and head of this podcast.
I would happily take that position. Yeah.
That would be an honour if you could take that promotion.
Happily.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You feel good about that?
Yeah, I feel good.
I want to get the promotion in before you feel you deserve it.
Because
that's going to give feelings of euphoria.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to give it to you just after, when you've been wishing you were head of podcasts for a long time, and you bit of resentment, even when you get it, you'd be feeling annoyed. So I tried to get that in early.
Right.
That's one of the things we're going to discuss when we think about progression.
We'll come back to that. Yeah. So we're going to talk about all things progression, career advancement, promotions, pay rises.
Let's advance our careers, Chris. Let's get out of this podcast. Yeah. Let's get to a bigger podcast.
And let's progress the podcast as we do it.
Let's go from a few thousand followers, a few followers, to a few thousand followers.
You don't know when someone's listening. They might be listening in months, years' time, where all those followers are there.
You're right. I mean, this is meaningful work, isn't it? The legacy of this podcast could live after we die.
Yeah. It might have been translated into a hologram edition. An AI beamed to our brains.
If that's the case, I'm going to go for hair implants. Where's the Belgravia Centre? Get me down there.
Those ads, you can click on them now. You can sign
up. Me and Wayne Rooney.
What promotions have you had in your career, Jonna? Talk to me about those.
Well, I'm not sure I'm the best person because I've got less and less promotions as my career's gone along. So at the start of my career, I was hungry and eager beaver. I was keen as mustard. I started off as graduate trainee, and even when I arrived, I can remember my managers who were probably 15 years more experienced than me, Sean and Kevin, great guys. I can remember them basically trying to gently explain to me that intellectual, theoretical knowledge isn't the same as experience. And the fact that I thought I knew a lot of things wasn't the same as having experienced a lot of things. And they tried to help me to not make rookie mistakes of being too keen. But, I mean, how far is this going? Can we keep this between us?
Yeah. Confidential conversation, yeah.
I wanted to progress. And I thrust myself forward on that wave of naive enthusiasm. And I thrust myself to gain some skills, and I got promotions. I got promoted to, I was the youngest middle manager. I know no one's proud of being a middle manager, but I was the youngest middle manager in our company ever at the time by probably about 10 years. I was 23 and all my peers were 35.
Wow. So that was a big promotion.
Yeah, I got two big promotions and a few job regrades in a few years.
How did you do that? Because you mentioned gain some skills. There was a thrust, a motivation.
Well, I think raw enthusiasm, skills, and probably one of our favourite things, which is saying yes, saying I can do this, believing in yourself. And I guess that's a little bit why I say things have changed as I've going through my career. As I've progressed through my career, the realisation that enthusiasm and thinking you can do something isn't the same as being ready for it has emerged. But I guess fundamentally, developing in your career is partly correlated to confidence rather than competence. And confidence I had.
And you used that?
Yeah.
Put that to work?
What about you? How was your career? What's the secrets of your incredible meteoric rise from really not very much and nothing to the incredible heights that you're at now?
I'm not sure it's meteoric, but I definitely have a desire to improve myself.
And you have needed to.
Yeah, definitely. Have done. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like the sense that you're moving up the levels. It's a bit of a game, isn't it? It's like the levels of a game. Can you move up to the next level, get all the rewards from that next level, but all the new challenges, because you've just gone up a level, it's become more difficult.
You're just FIFAing away.
I'm FIFAing away in my career, the game of life.
The game, I wish there was a game called The Game of Life.
That would be a great idea for a game.
What a great game that would be. Yeah.
Just playing through life.
There is a Game of Life.
There is.
But there's also another game that's really interesting. There's a Rich Dad, Poor Dad game.
Yes.
I don't know if you know that book.
Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
That's the same on the financial side. Are you progressing on the finances? I don't know if there's a career game. Is there a career?
Have we just found a gap in the market?
Game.
We're definitely going to have to keep this confidential, aren't we?
Let's not tell them. Is there a career progression game? Should we build one?
I think we should build one.
Yeah. So what would it be on the cards? If you were trying to think...
Well, you mentioned skills.
Yeah, skills.
So you've got your skill deck, maybe.
Yeah. And what I think's fascinating is that skills development, you can benefit from that right away. There's some things that you have to put effort into that don't have an immediate payoff. I'm going to give the example of touch typing. As a keen touch typist, very keen, I can benefit from that every time I address the keyboard. And coming back to my first job, one of the things I had to do was write a book. It was Development Opportunities Guide, which we called Catalyst. And I thought that was clever because it's dog, cat. Development Opportunities Guide, Catalyst it's called. But I had to write a book, and it was for corporate use. And my manager said, do you think you can write a book? Yeah, I can write a book. Right, so it's Development Opportunities Guide. Bearing in mind I'm 21 and I've never actually worked in one of these big companies, but theoretically, up here I had it all. So every morning I sat down and wrote the Development Opportunities Guide. I did about 3 hours in the morning every day for about a month until the thing was finished. But the touch typing was probably as or more important than this stuff because it's the speed. So having that skill, if you accumulate skills, you can benefit from, again, I did the NLP training where rapport building, influencing, listening, coaching, blah, blah, like benefit from it every day, but there's no gap to when it can pay off for you. So investing in skills, I think, is fundamentally important.
Yeah, and doing that early as well, you get the payoff across your
Why
career.
wait?
Yeah.
Leadership skills.
Yeah.
Team building, communication.
You're going to benefit from it for the rest of your career and the rest of your life.
Project management.
Yeah.
Conflict handling.
Yeah.
Difficult conversations.
Yeah.
Win-win outcomes.
Yeah.
Negotiation.
All helpful, aren't they?
They're all. Why not learn all
Not
of them?
just in work as well, in life.
fact, we may not need a board game. You may need a university. Why isn't that
You're describing a centre for learning.
Centre for development?
Yeah, for development.
That's the place I started when I worked. Actually, it's
Was
called
it?
Centre for Development.
We've come 360.
But
we've talked about how the V shape and T shape set of skills that you might have before on the podcast, and it reminds me of that.
So T shape is where you've got one vertical area that you know a lot about, and the lateral one's not much. I actually think this is more like core strength. So I think there's a lot of skills that are core strength. All the ones we just mentioned: project management, listening, communication, leadership. Conflict handling.
They're core, they're vital.
They're core skills. Why not assimilate a superpower pack of those things? And that's going to last you throughout your career, with the exception, I would say, that when I learn something, I'm normally quite good at it, and then over time it degrades. So I may need to keep training at it. I mean, training. What? Do you think that's going to work?
You're going to need to invest time.
Yeah. But some of those skills, I was better at them when I practiced them more frequently and had just learned them, and they degrade a little bit over time. Like if you've just done a project management program, maybe you're going to use all the things, and then after 10 years, you're perhaps thinking, well, I know how to do this, so I won't bother to do them.
So in our career game, early on, maybe you have the opportunity to invest in some skills that maybe don't result in a pay rise or immediate benefit, but over your long-term game, your long-term strategy, they're going to pay off.
Why not?
Yeah.
I mean, I can't conceive of why you do it the other way around, as in spend 10 years working and then think, I might need to get some leadership skills now. Or I might try and improve my project management, or I could do with learning to influence people now. Why not learn as early as possible.
Mm.
And the other part that is one of the things that I try and encourage the people we work with to do. So the touch typing is a good example. Having learnt to touch type, I reached a moment where I reached a Rubicon. And the Rubicon, I don't know if you know the story, it's one of the Roman generals. He's going to go and start a battle, but the battle, to start it, he has to cross the river Rubicon. But once he's crossed the Rubicon, there's no way back. And I felt like that with touch typing. I'd learn all the moves, but secretly I just would rather use the one fingers because this was harder, but the one finger typing was faster. But I realized if I crossed the Rubicon and went to the full finger, no look typing, then I would get faster at it, even though I was currently slower. But I had to commit to it and I had to stick with it and I had to not go back. And I think a lot of these skills are like that. If you really decide to do them well and don't go back, then you'll integrate those skills and you'll internalize them. And I've got a friend who can actually have a dream their fingers are moving, and then think about what the words were they were typing, and they actually can dream in touch typing.
Wow.
But the integration of these skills it's very easy to learn it and then not really use it, and then it's gone.
Yeah, I'm reflecting on my journey through learning visual communication, what I trained in, but then that being one very specific skill. We've got a bunch of great visual communicators here, but graphic design was one stream where I studied. Animation, illustration, right next door, but felt very different, felt like not my bag.
Yeah.
Kept in my stream of graphic design, studying alongside animators, illustrators, filmmakers. I could have broadened that.
So what stopped you dabbling in a bit of animation and then a bit of editing and a bit of...
When you're at that point, you've chosen your specialism and you feel like you're supposed to move up that one ladder.
You did.
You feel like, I did.
You did.
And I feel like people often do. That you feel like you're on a ladder, you're supposed to grow all those skills to the top without thinking about what are the neighbouring skills and what are those levels, and all of those skills you mentioned as well, not industry specific, but good soft skills.
So let's say you're an engineer, you think, I should stick to engineering. You don't think I should learn about legal or purchasing or selling. I meet a lot of people who would say, I'm not a salesperson. In fact, some of the people I'm coaching at the moment, selling's not really my thing. Just tell me what you've been doing for the last 20 years. I work in client-facing projects in consulting company. How do those projects come about? Yeah, we have to make an agreement to do them. Right, so you've been selling for 20 years. Yeah, okay, I have. Have you ever invested in understanding deal-making skills? No, because I'm not really. I'm a surveyor. So you're a surveyor. All of that surveying comes because somebody sold it. Yeah. And you're a director and you're selling it. Yeah. So you're working in sales? No. Yeah, you are. Yeah.
It's weird, isn't it?
If you're a lawyer,
we get the blinkers on.
Your T-shape. If you're a lawyer, an adjacent skill, influencing, communication, sales, deal making. We should invest in those.
V-shape
if you're a graphic designer, why not go into illustration or editing or animation? Yeah, it's all there.
And picking up some of those marketing skills, leadership skills, was able to broaden that V, and that unlocked some progression.
Well, you have a lot of talented communication skills, not just graphics, but people, and you've got a lot of leadership skills. So I think when we've worked together, I've been able to see those, and also you put yourself forward. And I think this is, again, something that is fundamental to accelerating a progression, which you don't have to do, but if you want to accelerate a progression, the one thing I think above all other things that you have to do, and if you're watching on the podcast, that's me raising my hand.
Listening on the podcast, probably.
Yeah. You got to put your hand up.
Put your hand up.
Put your hand up.
I'll do it.
I watched my son at football, and at the end of the session, the coaches say, "Hey guys, can someone give me a hand clearing up all the cones and bibs and put the goals away?" And some kids just get up and walk off the pitch, and others go and help put the goals away. And I say to my son, Joseph, every time they ask you, go and do the stuff, because that coach is going to believe in you. And when you ask them at the end, who's good at football, they're going to go, yeah, those guys. And it's probably the ones who put the cones away. It affects people. Yeah. They may not be actually better at football, but by putting your hand up to do things, and think about interactive workshops, there's a ton of people. I'm thinking Millie is like incredible at that. Doesn't matter what it is, if it needs doing, she will put her hand up and say, I think I could do this. Will you help me, or let me take care of it? Yeah. So that's the fundamental thing for progression is are you prepared to volunteer to do things?
Yeah. And that's how to accelerate. And you like accelerating people. One of the people who've benefited from that process, whether it's a life accelerator or a career accelerator, it seems like you buzz off that.
I think it's a privilege, isn't it, to try and help people along the career journeys that they can have. And I know that I benefited. I mentioned Sean and Kevin. There's many others who have accelerated me. And I think this is another thing to really think about when you're looking for a job. If I was looking for a job now, I would be trying to think about the manager who's going to manage me more than the money, the type of job, where it is. The main thing is this someone that I really believe in, that really believes in me. And I do feel that that's like a squaring of the power of what can happen in your career. If you work for a brilliant manager, they will take you on a journey. Kevin was excellent at this. Even though I was the least experienced, he recognised the attitude, and he would take huge risks in putting big projects to me. He put product launches to me that I wasn't supposed to be running. There was one big motorcycle launch where our company was launching 3 bikes and taking 30 journalists on a big tour of Europe, and I'd only just learned to ride a motorcycle. And he said, he was, unfortunately, one of his kids was ill, and he said, I think you can do it. Just take the journalists and go. I was so far out of my depth. And his boss's boss actually said to me, Jonna, just one thing. When you're riding your bike with a journalist, try and ride at the back of the group so they don't know how bad you are, and try not to fall off. But they didn't say, you probably can't do this, I better get someone else. So Kev was prepared to take loads of risks, and he kept thrusting me forward into things. And I think if you're looking for a manager that can create a high challenge, high support, they've got to believe in you and you also in them. So I'd be thinking about that as another part of the ecosystem, is to try and do that. But then as a manager, the other side, maybe businesses become more cautious these days. Maybe there's an older workforce, I don't know. But the appetite to thrust people forward to the limit of their capability, maybe even out of their depth, I think a lot of people feel like, couldn't do that. Whereas that's how you accelerate someone's career, is not just believing in them, but putting them in challenging situations and supporting them.
Yeah, maybe we've become too obsessed with psychological safety, making sure people are comfortable.
Yeah, and not failing.
Yeah, and we're scared of that failure.
We were scared of failure, and we obviously want to run good quality companies where things are done well and things are done responsibly. Do we want to do that at the expense of a va-va-voom, a joie de vivre, an excitement, a tension, an anticipation, exhilaration? You can't feel those feelings if you're doing something that you're getting to and you wish you could have done it for ages, and you're resentful because people haven't let you do it, and then suddenly you get your breakthrough. There's a great set of emotions that come with being stretched.
And when we felt that stretch, and we're trying to get a promotion, by definition, something in stone, maybe it's a pay rise, maybe it's a different title, the next step in our career. How would you go about suggesting we go about that?
Well, there are 2 crystal clear strategies, Chris. The first is how to influence someone and persuade them to give you a promotion. I think that's strategy A. The other is how to deserve one. That's strategy B.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you this choice. Would you rather have the promotion and pay rise that you've influenced or deserved?
Would feel better to have deserved it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So the influencing one, we can all do that. We can negotiate a promotion easily. We can negotiate a pay rise. In doing so, our stock tends to go down within our company. If you try to persuade me, let's say you say to me, Jonna, I've had a really unfortunate situation come up. I've had a headhunter contact me. They've offered a job. They're offering me 20% more than you're paying me. And I'm unfortunately just going to have to either take that or you're going to have to give me a pay rise. I probably go away and think, I don't really want to lose Chris. Let's give him a pay rise. Yeah. But your stock,
your feeling about me,
your stock will have gone down, and
my reputation lowered
because I've been manipulated into it. So the real thing is to work out how you can deserve one, and we talked about putting our hand up, but it is very simple. It's putting a hand up, doing an excellent job, positivity, learning new skills, succeeding. It isn't cycles and cycles of failure. It's learning from mistakes. I think people also make their judgments not based on material facts. and this is very common in decision-making theory, we tend to make a decision and then with emotion and then back it up rationally.
With some logic,
rather than making a logical decision and backing it and then trying to discount the emotion. So it is a question then and deserving. How do you want to be perceived by your peers, by your bosses, by your organisation? And I don't agree with presenteeism as a thing that should be the thing, but that's gonna be part of
showing up.
Showing up. What do people see? So if there is someone who's there every day, let's say 8 o'clock in the morning, you're there, you're well dressed, you're well groomed, you have a smile on your face, a sparkle in your eye, a spring in your step. Your work, you've communicated, it's everything you needed to get done's in progress. You've brought in a new client, you've finished a project, all these things. If you're communicating that and you're doing it well, then whether you kind of should get a promotion or not, people are going to be thinking, this person's doing really well. They will also be able to tell if you're trying to manipulate the situation by demonstrating all those things. So I would suggest to do all those things with integrity and
be authentic in it as well.
Yeah, you've got to be authentic. Yeah.
It's
challenging though, isn't it? There's if you deserve one, then it will happen. I guess in some organisations, there's also the problem of, is there a next role available? And in larger organisations, there always will be. So, you've got also then to think about where you want to go and what you want to do. That's also probably driven a bit by network and who you've got to know.
And you mentioned at the top of the podcast about trying to get ahead of a promotion.
I think that's the other way round on the manager track.
Yeah.
So imagine that you are a manager. You've got the chance to demonstrate to people that you believe in them and that you're prepared to take risks and to fast track their development. So the manager, if you can do that, do it. I've had managers who've put me up for a pay rise early or pushed me into a project early. I've had clients actually since the interactive workshop said, your company's a bit too small for this really, but we believe in you. So even though you're a bit small, we'll take you forward in it. That's incredible, isn't it? But that demonstration of faith, I think, is an excellent thing to do. But I just see around how leadership has changed in the last 15, 20 years. Perhaps we're more cautious than we used to be. We are not fast-tracking people as rapidly as we could. And again, it's something as a manager I'll try and do.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Do you fast-track? Are you going to fast-track your team?
Yeah, I would like to. I think it's a good approach, and it shows they're valued, shows that they're progressing, and that you recognise that. I think that's a good thing. Again, should be deserved.
But what about the downsides? What happens when it goes wrong?
When it goes wrong, you promote people too early. They either don't cope with the pressure, the added responsibility, maybe the added workload of that new position, and don't perform as well as they were before.
So maybe they haven't got the skills again.
Yeah.
Go back to skills. So we should support people with skills development, as well as with encouragement and enthusiasm.
Yeah, for sure. Is there a secret to getting a promotion? You mentioned that can-do attitude. Is that the thing above all else that would help a person get a promotion?
I would like to split our career into two phases: early career, first half career, second half. So there's a brilliant study that looks at on track at 30, off track by 40. On track at 30, off track 40.
So people who are on track.
Career on track
at 30, but by 40, it's gone off track.
That's
off the rails.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Ashridge School of Management, great study. So at 30, to succeed and get promoted, there's a few things you need to do. One of which is you need to stick out from your peers. You need to show that you're one of the best of a bunch. You've got to put in that slightly competitive effort to push forward and to be seen to be pushing forward. One of the people I coached recently, they won an industry award for their excellent work for like early careers. They're pretty 28. They've pushed forward. To succeed by 30-ish, you've got to take your career seriously like that. Maybe you're going to be investing extra effort outside of work, study some qualifications, make a few job moves, move around, gain lateral experience, gain your V shape. So there's an investment there, but you've got to prioritise that and push that forward if you're trying to progress. If at 40 you're doing the same things, you will probably go off track. So if at 40 you're pushing yourself ahead of your peers, becomes quite political. if at 40 you're moving around jobs all the time and, not committing, that's seen as flaky and not someone we can depend upon. And you will also not get the benefit of the experience at the level that you need. For example, you might keep moving around changing teams. You're not going to get the benefit out of running a team. And so on. So in the second half of our careers, some of the things that work for us at the start don't work for us anymore. Another good one exactly is working really late. So early in our career, we can probably work late, but we're probably in our 20s. We probably don't have a family and kids, and we can therefore invest in work. If we're in a senior role and we're working all the hours that God sends, actually our team around us look at us and think, you've got other priorities. What about your home life? Do I really respect someone who just stays in the office until 10 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, whatever? Actually, that's going to count against you.
It doesn't look like hard work. It looks like a misplaced priorities.
Yeah. So there's quite a number of areas like that where the things that make you succeed in the early part of your career will count against you later on.
Very interesting.
So we help people with trying to make that career change. It's quite difficult, actually.
Yeah, and that shift, it doesn't happen overnight. It's over a decade, but...
Can I tell you another one?
Yeah, go on.
Being good at your job. You need
kind of goes without saying, but
you need to be able to do that in your early career. But I don't know if you do in the second part.
Right.
I don't know if you need to be good at your job.
Because maybe you've got a team to lead, and so actually there is less of doing the job and more of helping other people do the job.
Think about that surveyor who I was just talking about. In their early career, they need to be good at surveying. But when they've progressed beyond a certain point, they're running a team, do they need to be good at surveying?
Or do they just need to be good at helping people be good at surveying?
Yeah. And I think that's the single biggest thing that's hard to let go of. I work in learning and development. Now, we can have a quick discussion about this, but I was quite a good facilitator, and I did know how to design some excellent learnings. I can moderate a good workshop.
Yeah, built a business on it.
Is that what I need to be good at now?
No.
It's not, is it?
No.
And if I run around delivering trainings or trying to tell everyone how to do it, run around designing learning experiences,
trying to sell things,
yeah. What do people think?
Everyone's gonna be like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah. So it's a terrible realization, I think, for a lot of people that what got you here won't get you there.
It's a good expression. Should we write that down?
There's a whole book on it. Yeah. But that's half people. I think people have got their identity in their, I'm a doctor, I'm a surveyor, I'm an engineer. And as we progress, we somehow have to let go of that. Yeah. So ironically, in the early career, we're trying to find it. And then maybe later on, we're releasing.
Brilliant.
Yeah, but Chris, I'm just going to ask you, those graphic design skills, what's happened to those?
They're still there. Occasionally they come in handy. That ability to visually communicate something, always useful, but broader now, I think. Able to communicate in other ways. I went from visual communication, media communication, now
verbal
communication, audio communication, visual communication.
Oh, you've got such a lovely tone of voice.
Thank you very much. These mics work wonders. We should wrap up our podcast, Jonna. Before we do you want to tell us a bit more about how we're helping individuals, teams, organisations with their progression?
Well, this topic is what we exist for, Chris. This is the joie de vivre of life, of helping people to assimilate skills, but not just learn them. You've got to use them. And to use them, you probably need to practice them. So we provide environments for that through programs, courses, coaching. And we also do the mentoring in some of those. I think a lot of our leadership programs, we try to have people think about, why are you here? Where are you going? What are you here for? Not just what are you here to get, but what are you here to give? And to encourage people to see themselves as someone who can put their hand up, not to take, but to contribute. I was thinking actually about the Airbus graduate program that we ran recently. We asked there at the start, we said, can everyone here make a decision that you can be a positive contributor to this program? It doesn't matter how, but it's a mindset. And I think that underpins everything that we do with some of the world's most famous companies to help people learn and develop. We do teach influencing skills. So if you need a short-term pay rise, we do help people with that. But the bigger part is that I think that people who invest in their own learning and development and their own growth will end up deserving promotion because they've made progression.
Yeah.
And for
we
me,
see that from the programs we run. People go on to get that promotion, not guaranteed, but because they deserve it.
Definitely.
They've invested in themselves and their skills.
Definitely. That is what, in the end, pays off.
Yeah. It's rewarding for us as well.
For us as well.
And for the companies that we run these things for.
And that's why you get on a plane and go and fly away from your family for 2 weeks, go and help other people.
It's very rewarding.
It's very, very rewarding.
Yeah, it's good. All right. Thank you, Jonna.
Thank you, Chris.
Appreciate your company on this episode.
It's been a pleasure.
I would like to promote you to expert of the podcast on this topic.
Yes.
So
On.
congratulations.
Thank you. I received that.
Yeah, there you go.
When do I start?
You start immediately.
And what's the pay, please?
We'll have that discussion at a further point with the HR representative.
Fancy that. HR.
Thank you, Jonna. See you next time.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for watching this video by Interactive Workshops. Give it a like down below and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next video. Click through to here or here to watch another video by Interactive Workshops.